So just a huge thank you to everyone for taking the time out of their evening to join us. We know that this webinar is a little later coming to everyone than originally planned, but we're really grateful for the patience. The original one was postponed just to allow time for some of our users who were hit by the bad weather, just to get back to some normality. That, and it was originally planned for 2 days after the Ireland All Blacks game. And I was still in mourning after the result and that red card. So needed a bit of a break. But luckily, I'm feeling a lot better now and ready to get to it. So this evening, we've got three great farmers and resolution users joining me to discuss staff engagement and buy-in. Just a quick reminder, there will be an email sent out tomorrow with a recording of this webinar and some tips and resources to help further. So we'll start with a few introductions and I'll kick it off. So as Tessa mentioned, my name is Ciara. Some of you will be familiar with me from harassing you with phone calls and checking in on your onboarding journey. A bit about my background. So mainly in the dairy sector here in New Zealand. I've worked on dairy farms here for almost 7 years and did a short stint in Australia before that on a cattle station. I came to Resolution from a different space than most of you likely have, as Resolution was introduced to me on a farm as a 2IC, and then I continue using it as I grew into a management role on farm. And I applied for a job at Resolution and have been working here for just over a year now, mainly in a role that we call customer success specialist. In other words, I help support new and existing clients to learn and get the most out of the app. And I suppose in this way, I'm the devil's advocate a little, as I was once the farm staff that we all are so desperately wanting to engage with Resolution on farm a little bit more. So we'll delve into a little bit more on that as we go. So I'm going to shoot it over to the panel. Kate, would you like to kick us off with a little intro on yourself, please?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Kate Burgess. We calve 640 cows at Waipahi in South Otago. And my husband and I, we hire 3 full-time staff. We also have 3 young children, Ted, Reg, and Elodie. And then we have lease runoff at Kaiwera, just over the hill, for our young stock, Frisian bulls, some winter lambs, bits and bobs. And we also have an equity partnership dairy farm down in Hedgehoe. So yeah, that's us.
Awesome. Hamish, you want to go next?
Yeah, thank you. Hi everyone. Along with my wife Chantal and our 2 kids Zara and Jack, we farm at Build Station in Northern Southland, which is 3,700 hectares, spread over 3 properties. And the Te Anau Basin, mainly hill country, running sheep and beef.
Brilliant. And lucky last, Mark.
Thank you, Ciara. Mark Crystal. I farm with my wife Jane, my brother Richard, his wife Julia, and Robin and Amanda Collier. We farm in Taipi in the central North Island. We're a sheep and beef operation across nearly 3,000 hectares. So, and sort of run about 700 breeding cows and around about 12,000 breeding ewes, and call ourselves a breeder finisher, try and finishing everything we breed. So yeah, a couple of kids, Emma and Jack, that are both in the agricultural sector, which is cool. And so that's me.
Brilliant. Thank you, guys. Right, let's get stuck in. So, to start us off, I suppose what everyone wants to know is, how did you first introduce Resolution to your team? Hamish, do you want to?
Yeah, okay. We've been using Resolution, I think it was since 2019, and so as new people come on, it's one of the requirements. It's actually in their contracts where they have to learn Resolution because it's part of our everyday. And so as we go along and there's new features that come along on our monthly meetings, we'll sit down as a group and go through those features so that we're getting the most out of the Resolution when we're using it. And so buy-in's relatively easy. I've got a young crew. I've got one older guy, but he's taken it to pretty easy. So yeah, pretty good.
Nice. So I suppose just start build those basics and yeah,
Yeah.
good communication with the team. Did you find the same, Mark?
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree with Hamish there. We've only been using Resolution for sort of probably coming up 3 years now, and that initial process I think was actually a lot easier than I thought it would be. Like Hamish, we've got a young team, and they picked it up very quickly. And what I love about Resolution is the ease of use. The mobile app is. It's great. It's easy to use. It's easy to upload photos. It's easy to edit. And so that we get better and better at it every year with logging more stuff, and we keep working hard at the staff to make sure they use it as a diary. Yeah.
Nice. And Kate, I know you've been stuck with me from the beginning because I've been Kate's support person on farm, or on the resolution account. How did you guys and the crew go?
Yeah, so this is our third year using Resolution as well, and we've got a full new team on this season. So we got Ciara in to run a training once everyone had arrived, and we're due for another one, like a bit of a refresher, really. I think with our ones, we've got a young team as well that are all relatively newish to dairy farming. And a big thing for us is encouraging them to record more, not less. So, like Mark, think of it as your diary, something that you might want to look back on in 12 months' time to see where you're at. Just record it. We can always delete it later as a message that we try and get through to them. Um, yeah, but it's such an easy app to use, so it's generally pretty good to get people up and running on it.
Yeah. I suppose the key thing that you're saying kind of across the board and that I feel like as well is that it's communication. We've all, whether it's tech or something else, had something thrust at us and been like, here, use this, and there's no sort of direction. And you're never going to get buy-in like that. You actually need to sit down and have a chat about it and explain it a little bit and start basic. And like you said, Mark, you've been on 3 years now and you're still, putting more and more in each year. And Hamish, you guys are sitting down, and when there's a new feature or something new that you can do, you sit down and have a chat about it rather than just trudging on through and figuring it out alone. So with that in mind, I suppose, what were those early days like? Smooth, bit of a learning curve, banging your head against a wall.
I
Um,
think Kate summed it up there before. Younger people, they pick up these sort of stuff pretty easy. It's such an easy program to get on, quite quickly. It's just a matter of using it. We have a sort of a motto where no information is bad information, because I don't think I've ever deleted anything that's been put up. So I'm always encouraging the guys, put whatever put it up there, because it's amazing. We'll look back and, hey, that's right, we did something, or we did it this way or something. There's never bad. All information is valuable. So
I think that's
yeah,
100% Hamish. That we're the same. We've never deleted anything, and I think for us probably it's trying to explain to staff the why, and the why we need to use it. And for us up here, and a big part of NZ now is our is all of our audits that are having to be done. So, and resolution is absolutely gold for that. So. And with that audit, we get it accredited into the NZ Fat Plus scheme, and that's and that's a premium. So if you can actually get across to the staff the why, and then lead by example, then that process I think becomes pretty easy.
Yeah,
yeah,
for
no,
sure. And I think it's definitely a learning curve. Each time we onboard a new staff member, we learn how to do it a bit better as well. We've found that.
yeah. Well, like from I always kind of laugh. I was on farm using it for almost 3 years, and I honestly, because, well, I don't know whether I consider myself young enough to be supposed to be good at technology, but we thought we had it down packed. I thought I knew everything that I could do, and then I started working for them, and I was like, wow, right, like we hadn't even scratched the surface, and it was it's just a matter of there's no stupid questions. And I talk to so many people a day. You could ring me 10 different times and ask me the same question. I wouldn't have remembered that I've already told you. So it's just about asking those questions. And some staff will, you've all talked about, you've all got young teams. I had a 72-year-old contractor ring me the other day. Some farmer wanted him to get on it and he was grumpy and cranky and he didn't want to get on it and he wasn't having a bar of it. And he's rang me 4 times to do the same thing. And now he's at the stage where he sends me screenshots of his completed tasks and he's delighted with himself. So, it is great to have a young team, but sometimes we go, well, there's an old boy there. He doesn't want a bar of it. But, an Irish accent gets you a long ways. So I'm always just like, give me a crack at it. I'll do my best to get through to them and give them a hand. Sometimes it just needs to be explained to people in a different way or a couple of times. And yeah, it's great it's for everyone.
I've got an older guy who's really good on it as well. And he enjoys, with the younger guys that keeping up with what's happening, around the farm. So yeah, the old guys can do it too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It becomes a bit competitive, like as well, and everyone's like, he posts about that, maybe and yeah, yeah, it's good.
I'm not
Um,
sure what you classify as old, Hamish, but I don't find it too
no way. We're not going to set any limits on that. So I suppose, was there a moment when you felt that it really clicked with the team, something that helped everyone see the value and lifted engagement? Mark, you look like you're pensive and thinking, so I'll hit you first.
Yeah. You got me thinking. Yeah. What was a moment that made it really click was actually me showing the standard actually for NZ Fat Plus, and then realizing the winter grazing planning, the all of your health and safety side of it, your contracts. Then they realized why. And they, well, as I said before, I think we had to really lead by example. So, I was probably, trying to upskill myself really early and post a lot. So they saw that and saw what was needed to post. So yeah, and I guess it's been a journey. As I said earlier, we're still learning. So of what to do and how to do it, and some post more than others. And we certainly encourage. I think like Hamish and Kate both said, we certainly encourage. There's no such thing as a bad post. So yeah.
100%. Yeah, there is no correct information.
Mm.
There's no wrong record as such. Everything, that's one of the things that I've found. So I'm sure everybody at this stage has noticed that I have an accent. So I'm one of those foreign workers, and a lot of the dairy sector in New Zealand has a foreign workforce. And what I noticed when I was in a management role was when I was trying to introduce it to teams, staff were worried about posting things and it being wrong. So actually, one of the first things I taught them was that they could edit their post. And if they'd
Mm.
forgotten something or put something in wrong, or a lot of times they were worried about spelling mistakes or something, they were just embarrassed, So I just showed them how they could edit it or get rid of their own post if they'd made a mistake and redo it. And that it instantly like lifted our engagement massively. How have you found it, Hamish?
Yeah, similar to Mark. A lot of my guys had seen me do a couple of audits, and so as an audit's coming up, even if it's 12 months out, we'll be talking about what needs to be in resolution, so that when it comes to my audit, that it's reasonably straightforward. And like all the winter grazing stuff, I might start the process to show them this is what we need, and really try and get them to feed off that and give them ideas of how to do a record or something like that, those sort of things. And definitely explaining to them that, certain things that we need for the audit, it's not something we can do in the last 5 minutes. It's something that we need to be doing all the time. And yeah, it's a reminder in our monthly meetings every now and then, just what stuff they need to be recording as they go along. Yeah.
Brilliant. Kate, what about you? I'm going to pick on you
Um,
now.
I think for us, the chat function was a real good one to get everyone on board with. With a new team coming on, we've got lots of moving parts, carving started, and then just when you think you've got a breather, someone left, and then there was a sprained ankle, and then there was a storm, and then mating started. So it's quite good just to have that central communication point, um, where I'm quite hands off on the farm because of the kids at the moment. So I can just send a message and I know that everyone's going to get it. And then I guess the other thing that we've done is set a challenge earlier in the season for everyone to do 2 posts a week, just to get them used to like recording. And I'm about to do another one that whoever can do the most amount of records in a couple of weeks, I'll do a gift for them of some description. I'm not sure what it's going to be yet, but I'll make it very
Join,
tempting.
I'm on your farm, Kate.
Yeah. Just to like give them a bit of motivation and competition as well and really encourage them. It's a constant thing to remind them. We try and have weekly meetings and I bring it up every time. Don't forget to pop it in resolution, use the task function, everything. Yeah.
That kind of leads straight into then how did you kind of get everybody to take ownership rather than relying on one person or that one person being just you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, I guess for us, it's the person that does the specific job does the record. So, or if it's something like weighing the calves, it's the top person in charge, I guess it's their responsibility to do the record as well. Yeah, that's how we sort of run it.
Yeah, I'm like you, Kate. There, we move around. We have 5 different blocks here, which can be challenging. But it's certainly the person who does the job is their responsibility. But like Hamish, we have production meetings. We call them once a month, and we sort of bring up a resolution and run through that and show a bit of what people are putting up and have a bit of like Kate said, a bit of a competitive streak to it. Come on, we need some more posts, and haven't quite got to the offering a gift or something yet, but that's a great idea. That's a great idea.
I have had one user who, well, a couple of them actually, and I helped one of them do it because it was quite entertaining. We created a, treasure hunt using the map layering to get staff engaged with it, and yeah, that was entertaining to say the least. Yeah, I suppose we're all like big kids. I think with anything like this, communication is key, and getting everyone to take that ownership. It comes down to yeah, you kind of need to, you get that phone call about what job is next, and you know that you've already put it on resolution or whatever information they're asking you is already on resolution. It would just be easier to go, here you go, this is what to do next. But if you actually direct them back to the app, they're going to start to use it. We all need to be prompted and reminded that it's there. If you keep giving them the answer over the phone and not making them go back and prompting them to use it, they are going to keep calling. So, it is communicating with staff and prompting and reminding. So, yeah. Um, Sweet. How has resolution made day-to-day work easier or improved how the team communicates and stays on top of things? Hamish?
Yes, so we run 3 properties. So I have a stock manager on each one of them, and they've got 2 or 3 staff under them. And so we had our monthly meetings that I've talked about, and so at the end of each month they'll put up their stock tallies, and for them it's just a matter of copying that previous record and then adjusting their tallies going through. So it's quite simple for them to do that. Um, and then so then we can see all the transfers between the properties if there's been any, if there's been stock that have left or come or go. And then so it's not just the stock, it's everybody on the team and everybody underneath them can see what's happening too. So I believe it keeps people involved and keeps them keen and interested in what we're doing. So it's not just me talking to the top guys, it's filtering down through everybody. So they feel like they can see everything.
Yeah. So like the information, like you said, it's there to be used, and I suppose having
Yeah.
that information at your fingertips anywhere on farm, it's a great way to stay on top of things. But like you said, it's also a brilliant learning tool for staff to see what someone with maybe a little bit more experience or the next level up in the career may be responsible for and doing on farm, and they can see that next actual steps in career progression as well.
Yeah, we find if we get a new guy on, the stock manager type, but he'll get them to, I don't know, might be a drench record, put that in, and we find that once they do the first record, they know what they're doing, and then away they go, sort of thing. It's just maybe showing them that first time, or once or twice, and then they know it's that's that easy. They away they go.
Yeah, yeah, nice. Um, how about you, Mark?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely great what Hamish said there with regards, stock recs. We do the same with that as well. One thing that I would say, and like, which is sort of relevant at the moment with our cropping program, is our Catalyst agronomy rep, puts all our spray recs up, and that just, makes it easy for everyone to see what's going to be sprayed, when it's going to be sprayed, why it's going to be sprayed. There's photos in there of bugs or weeds or whatever, and then it's really easy to turn that task and complete it into a record. So it's just one example, which is quite current at the moment, where it makes us really keep on top of things as far as all of that spraying. I just love the way we don't have very good reception up here around any of the blocks too. So the way you can pick everything up outside of service is gold for us. The phone's become a hell of a computer sitting in your fingertips.
Nice, brilliant. Yeah. Kate, anything different on the dairy side or?
Probably not. Just, I guess, from my perspective, like I said earlier, I'm quite hands off because of the kids. So instead of me having to ring up and ask if certain things have been done or follow up on things, I can just check resolution, and I don't have to pester people or feel like I'm holding them up as well. That's quite good. Like, you can go on and see if a task has been completed, or it will notify you when it's done. So I guess it's creating more time in the day as well, because they don't have to take a phone call unnecessarily, and they can just carry on doing their work. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess seeing the tasks written down in front of them, that's a big thing for us as well.
Yeah. It passes back that responsibility and gives them a sense of accountability as well. And it takes that feeling, I suppose, of micromanaging out of your
Mm.
hands, but you can still check in and make sure that it's done. Have you found then, like, in what ways have the features like mapping and tasking and location visibility, has it empowered staff to work more independently, do you feel?
Definitely the tasking, because you can just send it to them and then they know what they have to go and do. They don't have to ask whoever's, the 2IC or one of us what is next to do. They can have a look at their task list and just go off and do it. So it's definitely giving them independence in that
Yeah.
regard.
How have you found kind of getting staff to be more independent in their work day on farm, Hamish?
Yeah, well, I suppose with our hill country, like if you're sending someone who hasn't been here that long, they can get the information, whether it's a task or go out onto the block. They know they're in the right block with the dot, and they can see it on the map. Yeah, they can take ownership of those tasks quite quickly. Where beforehand you might have given them a piece of paper and they still didn't know where they were, and now it's just so much easier for them to get to know the property a lot quicker.
Mm.
Mark, is it for you guys, is it similar or have you got differences?
Yeah, no, very similar there, really, to Kate and Hamish. I mean, just having those maps, or as I said before, at your fingertips, I think is outstanding. Yeah, the pin drops, being able to, them to be able to locate where they are. Yeah, especially do have a fair few casual staff, working through the busy periods of December, January, and that's awesome for them to be, they don't know paddock names, and boom, it's all of a sudden, it's right there, and they can bring that up very, very easily.
Yeah. I used to say to staff when we first got resolution, before we had it, you could send two staff off to go and fix a broken insulator out the back of the farm. And, we all give these great directions. Oh, it's about halfway down the paddock between this one and this one under the tree. And one staff member could come back in 20 minutes with it done, all fixed, easy peasy. And you could have to send a search party out for the next one an hour later, only to find they're in a completely different section of farm. And it's definitely not my directions. It's 100% a them thing, do you know? So on that note, we've created a couple of little recordings, I suppose, of different aspects of resolution that I'll share throughout. So I'm just going to pop on one of those. Tessa, if you want to let me know when you can see it.
Perfect. That's up on my screen now.
Excellent.
So we're out in the farm wanting to locate ourselves. We'll go to the map function along the bottom, and this will bring you to the main map. And if we zoom in, there'll be a wee blue dot locating where we are. If it hasn't found where you're sitting, you hit the bottom button along the bottom that has a circle with the circle in the middle of it. That will also locate where you are.
So you'll all notice that I'm really good at throwing my voice, or that might have been thanks to Henry. Henry recorded that little video for me. Sweet. Right, where were we? Cool. So I suppose we'll move on to kind of how to create routine and how we did this on farm. So how did you encourage your team to see resolution as part of how they work and not just another job to do? Hamish?
Well, I mean, it's our farming diary, really. Everything goes in it. And the best part, I mean, in the good old days, everything went in my diary and nobody ever saw anything of what we did every year. And so, and you talk about a new person coming on board, they can look back when we hook them up and see what we've done. We have our meetings and we look back, just for example, we're weaning lambs coming up. We can look back at the years gone by, what weight ranges we drafted last year and things like that. And, we can all talk about it. We can all see it. And sometimes I'll tell the guys, hey, have a look at it before we have the meeting so that when we get to the meeting, we're already thinking about it. And so those functions. And also, like we talked about, getting ready for audits and stuff. It's also the health and safety side of it. So, we have accidents and near misses, what we call them, every now and then. So the guys are responsible to log them on resolution themselves, because end of the day they were there. It happened to them. So you sort of build that culture of where if they had a near miss, or say on a four-wheeler, they'll take a photo, they'll write up a bit of a story about it, and then at our meeting we'll go back to that record and that particular person will just talk about what happened, and so we can hopefully all learn from it. And then it just becomes a record for my records as well going forward. Yeah.
Nice. That's really good. I like that, like the diary and the kind of putting that onus back on staff. It's them that had the accident. It's them that knows what happens best. I suppose before this, you would have had a piece of paper, or if you even had a piece of paper and you had to go do this and then find them and write a big spiel, and it might be days or weeks, whereas now it's just done on the spot there and then you can come back to it and learn from it. Kate, how do you guys find it with teams and encouragement?
Well, I think it's such an easy app to use, so it doesn't take a lot of encouragement to get them to actually do records in terms of how to use the system. It's just creating the habit of getting them to do it consistently. And we're the same, it's a diary. We try and think of it as a diary to look back on, or building a story of our farm. And on the health and safety thing as well, like when we have our weekly meetings, we check in on health and safety. Usually everything's put in already, so we're the same. Everyone has to record their own incidents. And like in the storm recently, I went around the farm and just dropped a pin on every tree that had come down or any dangerous areas. So it's just making it real visual so that everyone can see it. And I think by nature, a lot of farmers are visual learners. So if they can see a picture of it, it's much easier to sort of make it stick or imagine for them, I guess.
Yeah. I like that it's a story that like a story of the farm. It gives them something more to buy in than they just like have to do this. This is just, it builds that bigger picture. And I suppose our hopes for it, and it was probably one of the first things that I ever, when I started with Resolution and I sat in on a demo with Paul, was that he said, he hopes this data will far outlive many of us, and that like in years to come, it'll be priceless information that future farmers can look back on and see what was done here or what happened here, and it actually just creates a history and a story of the farm. Um, what about you guys, Mark?
Yeah, I
Easy?
totally agree with Kate and Hamish there, what they're doing around health and safety and using it as a diary. I think that's fantastic. I mean, we're only 3 years in. I think Hamish, you're probably 5 or 6 years in, and having that history, I think, is going to be is already good for us. Having that, if we go 10 years, I think is going to be outstanding. And the other thing I might add too around health and safety is that. A lot of our block managers have staff underneath, and if there's a farm, we can't be on all of their blocks all the time, and we're certainly not. But they will, in a serious farm accident, have some liability, so they need to actually own it. And so that's we've sort of certainly tried to get that across, and it makes them sort of understand why there's a need to put up near misses and accidents and mitigation of how we can do it better next time.
Yeah, excellent. So I suppose with that in mind, what does using Resolution actually look like as part of the team's daily and weekly routine? Do you want to go straight in, Mark?
Yeah, certainly stock movements. We have a like a tab for stock movements within blocks. Transfers tab. Any stock movements off farm or animal health is absolute must. That there has to be a record that's put into resolution. And then for example, administering animal health, there's a certain protocol that we have. There's got to be a withholding period, there's got to be batch numbers, there's got to be things that meet our audit requirements for that. Things like all fertilizer, cropping, that's all, and it's really cool. I mean, I'm sitting more in a and do the admin side of it. So I'm not across the blocks as much as my brother Richard, who's the manager, and he can see that. But it's great for me to be able to see what's happening on all the other blocks every day. So that's gold.
Yeah. And Kate, what does it look like for your crew in the day to day?
A big one for us is the effluent recording. Obviously, it's really important that we know where effluent's gone on the farm. So every time they move our pods, they draw a line and on the map to show whereabouts they've put the pods, and when they've been turned on. If the council comes in, then we can show them exactly where and when we've put effluent on. And it's another tick box for compliance. I think like the dairy industry is pretty well tracked, and like mastitis all goes into the dairy diary with Fonterra, things like that. But that side of thing, it's just great to have a day-to-day record on what's happening there. It's a good backstop for us, I guess, to make sure that we know exactly what's going on the farm.
Yeah.
That's probably a big day-to-day one for us.
And one of the things I actually loved about when I did some training with you guys, we actually talked about effluent, and I showed the way that I had done it in the past. And I loved that one of your crew came straight back at me and he was like, nah, I don't want to do that. That's too. And I was like, sweet, perfect. Right, let's move on. Let's find a way that works for you. And that was one of the things that I loved, that he was like, I'm not having a bar of this. And I was like, right, there is no one right way to do it. It's about finding the way that works for you. And he did. He took off and he found a way, and he ran with it, and used it well. So it's great to see that, and it's like water off a duck's back for me. I don't mind. It's brilliant.
It's real easy. They just drop a pin at one end and drop a pin at the other end, draw a line,
Yeah.
and then put with it says what paddock they're in. So yeah, it's very straightforward.
No, brilliant. What about you guys, Hamish? What does it look
Yeah,
like?
I mean, some days we're not doing too much on farm, so there's not a lot of records go up. But other days, I mean, I can take today for an example. There was some calf marking I can see that's been put up. One guy's found some nodding thistles on the hill, so he put a pin in and he's marked it on there. There was some young grass put in today, so yeah, all those records are there, you know. So I flick through. I'm on it all the time, seeing what's happening and what's going on, looking at the numbers and all sorts of things. But another cool feature is even around the calf marking side of it, I can click on the calf marking tag and it brings up all the calf marking all in one spot. So you can compare, oh, how did we do this year to last year straight away, quite quickly. So, and the guys know that. And so, you know, when they're comparing how we did to last year or the year before, and that, you know, the longer you're on this, that information is so powerful as you build up your history, you know.
Yeah. And stock tallies and things like that. Do your crew get involved with that and keep
Yeah,
track?
that once a month they'll do that. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. And any transfers between the properties, it'll just be put in so that when we have our meeting, we can look back to say, oh, those 100 U's went from A to B sort of thing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Sweet. I am going to share another little video just on stock tallies. So Tess, if you want to let me know when you can see this.
Yeah, that's good now, Ciara.
Excellent.
A stock tally record is a great example of a way to get staff engaging with and using the app in their day-to-day, while keeping track of stock numbers coming through the sheds or yards in different mobs. To create a stock tally, click on the blue circle at the bottom of the screen and select Create Record. Quick tip, if you're already on the record screen, you can long press on the blue circle and this will bring you straight into creating a record. Once in here, you can paste the stock tally information that you required. I have mine saved in a note on my phone, and then fill in the blanks. Then you can add any photos if you like. Most importantly, add your tags so you can find this information easily in the future. Once you're happy with everything here, click Save. This works the exact same way for sheep and beef or deer and can be done as part of your stock movement records, as shown here, or also as part of your animal health records, whichever you prefer.
God, I have a voice made for radio, don't I? It also jumps an octave when I do videos like that. It's awful. Right. So, in what ways have you found that centralizing everything made things clearer, saved time, and kind of boosted staff involvement on farm? Hamish?
Just the fact that whether it's the junior guy or the senior guy, you know, everybody can see that information. I think if I was a junior guy, if I go back, I was always wanting to know what was happening on farm, and you know, so if I had this when I was a young fella, it would have been awesome. You know, just the fact that you can sort of keep involved in what's not necessarily been making the decisions, but you can see what decisions have been made, what's been recorded, and really could learn a lot from that. You know.
Yeah, definitely. Was that our cue to tell you you are still a young fellow? Was that what you were poking at
I feel
there?
young.
Yeah.
Might not look it, but
You still feel it though. That's all that matters. What about you, Mark?
Yeah, I think the the stock reconciliations for us, and it's always great to have a double checking system in there. We use Farm Focus for that. And then we run another system. It's just a spreadsheet system to track things between blocks. So having another form in there, it makes it easier for my brother Rich to double check on where stock is and stock numbers, and if the stock missing, well, hang on a sec, it's actually come off this block or da da da. So and staff have certainly brought into that, and really know how important it is for us to have all of our tallies up, and any movements to the works or between blocks, how important that is.
Yeah. No, brilliant. And Kate, what about with you guys?
Yeah, I think I've kind of talked about it before, but it's the time saving on the phone, making a phone call instead of just looking on the app, which now we can obviously just look on the app, or even going into the cow shed and then you stop and talk for 20 minutes about something else, and next thing you know, half an hour's gone, and then that's just a big waste of time. So you can check in on the app, and then see something's been done or recorded, know where we're at. For example, I do weekly calf meal orders. So the team just put up how many bags of calf meal they're using every day, and I can look at it to do my weekly order rather than having to ring them or message them and say how many bags are we using, sort of thing. So it might only save you 10 minutes each time, but that sure adds up over the week.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I suppose we've all said it in passing and in different ways along through it, but it caters for everyone as well, all learning and communication types, whether you're visual or written or what it is, there's a place for everyone on it, and there is a way that everyone can communicate through it. So with that in mind, I suppose have you felt how has resolution kind of supported your team's growth and helped them build skills and confidence and progress in their roles, Kate?
I guess it just gives them more autonomy and the confidence to go off and do something on their own because they know where they're meant to be going to start off with. I guess we have the luxury of our paddocks being numbered one to whatever instead of poplar paddock or top tank paddock or whatever it is on a sheep and beef farm. So it is easier to locate, but if you can show them exactly on the map and exactly where you want the fence put up, then they can go off and just action that without you kind of having to follow up on them again, pretty much most of the time. Yeah, and it's just that independence for them to go off and do a job on their own rather than having to, the 2IC having to go with them to show them where to put the fence or whatever. He can go off and do what he needs to do as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Mark, have you seen progression in roles with staff and that build in confidence through using it?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and you have to, you have to make technology your friend, and having an app like Resolution, and which is easy to use, it makes them feel a lot more confident with doing, putting in records or even using potentially other apps. So, that's been, we've certainly seen that and built that skills, and as Kate said, builds that confidence with them. Yeah.
Yeah. Mark?
Hamish?
Sorry, you are Mark. God. Terrible.
I see it sometimes with young guys and girls that you see the guys and girls who step up. So it might be they might be drenching lambs for whatever that day, and then I can look in later on in that day and I can see that a younger guy in the team has put up the record today, and he'll take charge of that particular event and he'll know what to put up. We talk about the batch numbers and all the guff, take a photo, and even I encourage them to take a photo of the stock because it's just a reminder what they look like. So yeah, they step up in that regard, and it sort of empowers them a wee bit. I feel that it's not just grab the drench gun, you're drenching today. There's other bits to it as well. We've got to record what we're doing and show it. So yeah.
Yeah. I suppose it's the building blocks for staff, and you mentioned it in your last in when you answered the previous question about like how when you were a young lad and you were learning and whatnot, and I was very similar. Like I said, I've farmed in New Zealand now for 7 years, but don't come from a farming background at home, and I'll never forget my first year on farm, and it was Springer's this and white line lame cows and body condition scoring. And I'd ask a question and I might stand up in the vat and I'd look at 2 cows or 10 cows standing beside my manager, and they'd just be like, oh, 3.5, 5.5, this, that. And I really hadn't a clue what they were looking at. And that was one of the things when I brought on Resolution. I used it as like a learning environment for staff. And so when we did body condition scoring, I'd take pictures of a 3.5 or a 5.5 or a 4 or whatever, and we chuck those up there with our results. And it meant that, if staff want to learn, the information is there at their fingertips, and suddenly as well, there's actually a meaning behind the words that we all use and that just roll off our tongue because we know what we're talking about, and it's just giving those visuals and that aid there if it's wanted, I suppose. Um, so then staff meetings are obviously a big part of on farm, and you've all touched on health and safety and that communication and everything else there. How has resolution, I suppose, supported you in your staff meetings? Has it made it easier to record what's discussed, look back, or follow up? Hamish, do you want to?
Oh, but well, it's just so easy. The fact that we can bring up previous years, whether it's tailing or whatever, and see what we did, what paddocks we went to, so the guys will do a plan up, say for tailing, and they'll take a photo of that plan, and I get them to put as much in that record as they want to, but encourage them to put lots in it, because we look back next year and we go, oh, that's right, we did it there, or we changed our mobs to 250 instead of 300 or whatever it was, and it went well. And because you forget, I mean, I forget what I did this morning, let alone what I did last year. So it's so easy. We look back if we're planning our next month. And it is tailing coming up or whatever it might be. We go back to those records, we see what we did, and it makes that plan for that next month, the month coming up, so much more easier, and you get buy-in from the guys too, because I'm encouraging them to do it, so it's coming from them, so.
Yeah, definitely. It's just as like you said, it's just as much about looking back as looking forward and helping you
Yeah.
plan for the future with that staff engagement and buy-in at that point. How about you, Mark?
Yeah, like Hamish, I certainly encourage the staff to, things like winter grazing plans. They might seem a bit complicated at the start, but I really want them to take ownership of their blocks and how they're grazing, and then I think they do buy into that and realise how important. It is not to pug a paddock and for our markets overseas, and you're trying to get that. So they certainly do take ownership. Our production, we all minutes. I don't use the record function, but we do type minutes up. I type those up, and they're all loaded into resolution, so everyone can go back and see what happened at that meeting, and all action points are put in red, so they can certainly see that. They also get emailed it as well, so there's certainly that it makes those whole meetings work sort of more efficiently, I think, if there's a really good recording system, and that's up on resolution.
Nice. Kate, how about your crew?
I guess it's actually before we had resolution, staff meetings would be quite a casual chat on the tanker pad or maybe have a coffee, catch up. Now I take notes as a record while we're catching up, just bullet points. Then everything's written down. People can look back over things if they need to, if they forget something. It's just a good reference point for everyone. And it has forced us to formalise our staff meetings as well, which has been good for our business and our team. Better communication should lead to better results, really. Everyone knows where they're at, or if they don't, they can go back and check, which empowers everyone, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah. And you all touched on it at the start as well in one of the first questions I asked, and said how it's actually at those staff meetings that you kind of upskill on resolution a little bit. It's a great place to like initiate the communication around what more do you want, or what's your next step, or what you'd like to record coming up to mating or calving or whatever it is, and getting that usage when you have everyone sitting around as a team. And like you said before, it used to kind of have more informal meetings, and I kind of remind users of that. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing. Just because the tools are there to record the meeting or whatever, it doesn't mean you need to change all the habits you have before. If you were writing things down, take a picture of what you've written down, put it on resolution. It's just having it there at your fingertips that everyone can access it and come back to it. And with that, we'll have another little video. Tess, can you let me know when you can see that?
Yeah, it's all good now. Yeah.
Staff meetings are another great way to get everyone involved. Having the whole team together allows them to learn from each other and contribute. A great idea when getting started with resolution is to allow 10 minutes before the meeting starts, while everyone is faffing about making teas and coffees anyway, and prompt staff to create a few records from things that they have done on farm in the past couple of days. This gets the conversation started and gets everyone thinking and actually using the app. To create a staff meeting record, same as before, click the blue circle at the bottom of the screen and click Create Record. Once in here, you do have a few different options for how you want to create your staff meeting record. You can click in the contents box and type the minutes of your meeting directly here. You can also jot down the minutes of your meeting on a piece of paper as before and add a picture to the record, either by taking a photo through the app or by adding a photo from your gallery. Your third option here is you can voice record the meeting by clicking on this blue microphone. This allows staff to contribute, talk openly, and really get the most from the app. I like to give staff the opportunity to run staff meetings for me. This is great for building confidence, leadership skills, and buy-in from staff. You can help keep them on track by providing a guideline of what areas you'd like them to cover. Here's an example that I've used in the past. As always, add all the information you need. Potentially add a photo or a selfie of the crew that are attending the meeting. And most importantly, add your tags so that you can find this information easily in the future. Click Save.
Awesome. So we are coming towards the end. So with that in mind, how have you seen value for staff members feeling empowered, contributing ideas or understanding what's happening on farm? Hamish?
I always tell my staff there's never a bad record, so information is powerful, and we need that information, whether it be an audit or just for our general on-farm day-to-day stuff, when we need to look back. There's quite often they'll come to me, or every now and then they'll come with me with a new tag that I never even thought of, which they want to put on there so that they can start recording under a certain tag. And so, yeah, there's never a bad idea. It's just about making the guys use it, really. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Kate?
Yeah, similar. And it's just giving everyone a better understanding overall of what's happening on farm. Especially, on days off, if the calves are getting weaned or something, they can come back and see how the mobs have changed, how they've gone, things like that. And again, it just comes back to keeping everyone informed and making the communication stream easier and better.
Yeah, nice. And Mark?
Yeah, I totally agree with everything said. Yeah, I think the big plus for us is probably the ease of use, and making, that mobile app, having the functionality in there, and the mapping, the whatever it might be, is if it's easy to use and staff use it, and yep, they feel empowered. I think we've certainly seen staff feeling empowered through our meetings and everything, and just even the photos in there is it's really powerful to have a whole heap of photos sitting in your whole records list.
Yeah, yeah. And it really is, I suppose, about leaning on those staff. I know a couple of you mentioned you're kind of overseeing it all and out there doing it as well, but you can't be everywhere at once. So it's the ability to kind of lean on those staff and the people who do jump towards it, use them for suggestions. And like you said, Hamish, if they suggest a tag, chuck it in there, encourage it, let them drive it a little as well. I know I have a couple of account holders that I ring, and they now laugh because their staff use it far better than they do, and they said it gives them a good kick up the rear end, but they love seeing it. You know, they're like, oh, one of our junior staff is posting way more than I am. I should probably up my game, and it's great to see, you know, but and just encourage it and let them run with it. Yeah, when it was introduced to me, my manager was like, I think this is a great program. I'm rubbish at tech. Can you just drive it? And he was like, and teach me along the way. And that was how I got on board and got using it. And it was really empowering for me to actually have that trust to have something invested in the business and in me. And yeah, just let me run on it. Um, any favorite features that make things easier, more enjoyable? Taking photos, leaving voice notes, reminders, anything like that. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, we talked about the photos, 100%. The one of the big things I enjoy is the mapping, is the layer with the mapping. We have some hill country blocks with a lot of gullies in, and as far as fertilizer goes, we can take all those gullies out and send that to the pilot who uploads it straight onto the plane. And obviously we're getting more bang for our buck with our fertilizer usage and everything. So that's great. The reminders, really using those. Dog dosing is probably one that sort of comes to mind. Things, yeah, as I say, that's really important for us, that whole that dog dosing thing on a through our vet club on a 4 weekly schedule once a month. So, I can really monitor, my view to this, my saying to the staff is, if it's not up on resolution, then your dogs haven't been dosed. So, it's putting the ownership back in them to make sure make sure that's up.
Yeah, nice. Hamish, what about you guys?
I don't really have a favorite. It's all good. The photos, the mapping side of it. Yeah, definitely. When I'm doing my cropping side of it, I put on my map what I did this year, last year, and I can look back when I'm planning my next year's cropping plan going forward. And yeah, just the fact that seeing the young guys, putting these records up with the photos and them taking ownership of it, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Kate?
I think for me, when I'm on farm, the reminders is huge. Like I said, I've got 3 young kids, so my brain's a million other places. And like if we're treating a sick calf or something, it's usually 2 or 3 days apart, the treatments, and I will forget 99% of the time that I have to treat a calf, what pen it's in, what it looks like, what particular calf it is if they're not tagged. So the reminders is a huge one for us. And then like the chat function, obviously we've got our main group chat. We've also just started a shopping list chat, which we've found really good. Usually I'm the one in town picking up stuff. So if it's not in the shopping list chat, I won't get it. They'll message and say we've got 1 can of fuel left or something like that. So we know that we need to get some within the next day. We find that really good. And then on the equity partnership farm that we've just taken over, we're finding the map layering really good. We're trying to do a bit of development down there, and it just lets us all sit down as a group and sort of brainstorm different ways that we could put water lines and water troughs and where we could put things and then save it to come back to later. So, I mean, it's all really good, but those are sort of some stuff that we're using a lot that we find really good here.
Yeah, brilliant. So I won't touch on the map layering side of things because we'll hold that one off for the next webinar and keep everybody on the edge of their seats for that. But the reminders is something that we haven't really touched on so far in this. And like we said, it's great for your dog dosing months, weeks. I also use it for hours. Like if I am out looking at a down cow or something like that, I've got something with acidosis or whatever. I'll set a reminder on that record from treating her to go back and check on her in a couple of hours, and little things like that. So I will share a little video, to that one, and same again, Tess, if you could let me know when you can see that.
Yep, that's all good, Ciara.
Reminders are a great feature to encourage staff to use for themselves and for each other. whether wanting to set a reminder for something months in advance or hours. It is great to have somewhere to put this information that can free up space in yours and their heads without having to worry about forgetting. A reminder can be set while creating a record by scrolling to the very bottom and clicking on Add Reminder. It can also be set from the record's timeline screen by finding the record that you want and clicking on No Reminders underneath the record and clicking Add Reminder. Once you've clicked on Add Reminder, select the people or person that you want to add the reminder for and click Done. You can then select whether you want it to be a phone notification or an email reminder and when you would like that for, whether it's for a specific date and time or after a certain amount of days, weeks, months, or years. You can then write a note as to what the reminder is for and click Save. As mentioned, reminders can be used in lots of different ways. For example, here it was used on a metabolic cow as a reminder to go back in a few hours and check on this down cow. It can be also really helpful for using while dog dosing, so that you can set a reminder when you do today's dose to do it again in a month's time. Or to look even further into the future for when you have certs or consents that expire, you can set a reminder for years in advance to remind you to get the next one.
Okie doke. So, nearly there. Last question for you guys. I suppose what everyone wants to know, the burning question, what advice would you give to someone struggling to get buy-in from their team? Kate, do you want to kick us off?
My number one thing would be get Ciara to come and do a training.
Thank you, Kate. Keep up the job.
No, but seriously, we've found that really good. As soon as possible when people come up, I guess this year, because we had a whole new team, it was easy to just do them all at once. But if you can schedule an actual proper training session with them, take them through the app, and it just, if they actually know how to use it properly, they're more likely to use it rather than go, oh, I guess I'd better, do the odd thing on here. Give them, a proper training, and probably, and this is something we need to get better at, clearer guidelines and examples of what they can be recording and should be recording, so that they know the expectation is record when you clean your motorbike and do your maintenance check, do a record of it, so that we know that it's done. It's a health and safety tick, and it's a general maintenance tick. So probably clear outlines of your expectations is a big thing as well.
Yeah, it's really important to know your why. And lots of us signed up because the neighbor signed up or we saw someone else using and it was great. But it's actually one of the questions that's asked as part of the sales process with Resolution is why you want it. And I try to remind people when they're getting started to let staff know that as well. Like, you can put pretty much anything into it, but if you tell someone that, you're like, yeah, just go for it, and give them no sort of guidelines, it can be kind of paralyzing in a way sometimes. If you can do everything, then where do you start? So I kind of tell people 3 things, whether it be bike maintenance, staff meetings, irrigation, whatever it is, pick your 3 whys, get started on that and go from there. What about you, Hamish? What advice would you give?
Yes. So if anybody's coming on, we would, it's part of the onboarding process. So learning about the farm, learning about how we do things. And so it'll be also sitting down with them and going over the Resolution app and showing them everything on it and how to use it and not to be afraid of it. It's also in their contracts when they start with us that we use Resolution and that it's part of their day-to-day tasks is filling in, recording and stuff like that. So they know they've got to do it. But yeah, it's just the beauty of someone coming on, they can look back and see what's happened and hopefully pick up the ball and keep rolling with it, you know. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's good. Yeah.
I really like that. Like, it's not so much putting your foot down because I've had a few farmers over the years who are like, this is the way and that's it. But it is in a way, if this is something that you want and it's added value to your business, which it does, then it's not a choice for them. But you have to drive that home, and it doesn't have to be harsh, but this is what we do and it works well. And so you're joining the team, jump on board, like let's get involved. So I really like that. You're probably one of the first people, maybe not the first one to have it as part of the contract, but definitely one of the first ones that I've heard have it. And I actually really like that because it's become an integral part of your operation. So it's really cool to hear.
Farming's all about recording nowadays, and it's such cool to have it all in one spot. We've all got to record stuff, so it's just so easy to have it in one spot.
Yeah. Right, Mark, you're up. Hit us with your advice.
I don't, gosh, I mean, I think it's all, to be honest, it's all been said there. We like Hamish as well, we've got it in our contract that they must use resolution. And I think that's cool. I think you have to lead by example, and pretty much Hamish and Kate have both said that, and we have to, really conscious that I try and do the most posting so that people realize that they need, if I'm not posting, then they will probably find it easier to sit back and do nothing. So we really have to lead by example. We had Robbie Hill come over a couple of times and talk to our team on its own about the refresher stuff and what else they can do. And also the road show, what do you call it, the grand tour. We've had that at Taipi a couple of times, some of even a couple of times, and we've really encouraged staff to go along to those events too, because I think you pick something up at nearly every time we talk to Robbie or go to a resolution function. There's you certainly pick another thing up, so that which has been great.
Yeah, no, brilliant. Um, I suppose what I really want to say is a lot of people kind of were really excited about this webinar, and so was I. And it is a slightly harder topic. I wish there was a switch that you could just flick or a one-stop shop for getting staff engagement. I think it's really important, as we've said, to know your why and what you want to get out of it, and to use the support that's available to you. I'm part of an awesome support team that's built into the Resolution brand, and you know, all of the ladies that I work alongside are really involved and want the best. We almost take it as a personal blow if someone's not getting along with it or not getting staff engagement. So use that support that is available to you. We are a bit of a nuisance sometimes when we ring, but come back to us in your own time whenever you need. It's keeping me in a job, so yeah, ring whenever you want, within reason, not 3 a.m. in the morning, please. But it's also, we do have a brilliant new Resolution Help Centre that we are consistently adding video tutorials and resources to, and that is a great place to come back and lean on. We lean on it as well, and send resources out to people, and that will come out in the email tomorrow. So to kind of wrap it up, I just would like to bring it back to three main things that I think we've kind of gathered from here is one, communication with staff. You got to get them involved, let them understand your why for wanting to gather this information, and building it from there. Consistency, encourage, prompt if needed, and by all means lead from example. If they see you doing it, they will do it too. And start simple, nail the basics, pick your two or three things that you want to go with, and build from there. The rest can come. Anything is better than nothing, and then use it as building blocks and work it over time. So I would just love to say a massive thank you to Kate, Hamish, and Mark for your contribution tonight. There was a little bit of nerves beforehand, mainly from me because my job is on the line. Jokes. But it's been a pleasure getting to know you all a little bit more and to hear about your experiences and insights on Resolution. A huge thank you to Tessa as well. None of us, including myself, would be here tonight without her hard work organising this and sending out the emails to remind us of when events like these are on. We are now going to open it up to questions. Just a reminder, I know a few questions have come through the chat. I didn't get to read them as we went, but Tessa is having a look at them in the background. But just a reminder, tonight's topic is about staff buy-in and engagement. So please try to keep your questions to this topic. If it's to do with something else that is off topic, we'd love to help and more than happy to answer questions. But please contact us through the website and we will get a member of the support team to get back to you as soon as possible. If you'd like to ask a question, you will need to unmute yourself. There's a microphone, should be down below me and over to the left-hand side. No question is a dumb question, so I guarantee you I've asked them all already, so please ask away. Everybody panic. Nobody? Right, I'll go to the chat. We had a couple in here.
I was just going to mention, Ciara, Tina's one that's come through regarding resolution chat. We did do a webinar on that last time, and so I've jotted your details down, and I'm going to get someone to get in contact with you and send you that webinar as well, so you can have a more in-depth look at how people have transferred from WhatsApp to chat. So I might, in the email that goes out tomorrow, just put the link through to the webinar chat recording as well, just in case anyone else missed it. So hopefully that will help cover some answers for you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Tessa. And I'm going to ask Kay's question. Thanks, Kay. So what was the first thing or skill that you show or teach new staff members when introducing resolution? Do one of our panel want to kickstart?
I can start that one. Probably just the simple one of just how to record record something. So, which is very, very simple. We saw a wee video there before about, pushing the blue button and then the record button comes up and taking a photo. My guys have all got to do their timesheets on it. So they'll be just showing easily how easy it is to do a timesheet on it. And just in the map feature. So I think Ciara, you sort of said it before. Only show them 2 or 3 things for the start, but quite quickly they're looking themselves and learning quite quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Brilliant. Yeah, we're the same. Whenever I always kind of try to remind people that a record and task is virtually the same thing. It has the same functions available to it. You can add photos, videos, whatever. So if you can do one, you can do the other. A record is something that you've already done. A task is something that you want to do and you want to get someone to do. So yeah, it's basic in the best way possible. So I always start there. And the filtering and all that stuff can come afterwards. If someone can locate themselves on farm and they can create a record, the world's their oyster. It's just building on that after there. Anything different with you, Kate, when you guys introduced it?
We just try and keep it real basic to start off with. Like our latest staff member, she started on the 1st of November, so she's 19 days in. And I just showed her how to create a record, find herself on the map, and kind of use the map so she can find out where she actually is. And then we're due for a bit of another catch up on how to do a bit more with it after that, but I'll just try and give them a couple of weeks really to settle. I do have a section that's like introductory tags, which are just 4 or 5 real basic tags for them to start sort of using to keep it really simple, because there's a lot of tags in there. It can be very overwhelming. So just use them to start off with and then slowly build. It takes ages. It takes a lot of time to get everyone up to recording as much as what they could. Including my husband, who's probably the worst recorder out of that we've ever had on farm. So yeah, he's very much on the starting slow and building up over time. He did a couple of records this week. I'm very proud of him.
I'm so proud. It's been a while.
Yeah.
There are other ways, like you can limit if, Hamish, you said your crew are real good. You do it once or twice with them and away they go. Other people aren't. And you can use the permissions when you're adding a new user. You can pull back permissions and you can give them, like often when we would onboard staff, we would just give them the most basic permission, which meant they could just see themselves on farm on the map, and you could assign them tasks and let them get started with that. And, maybe they don't even need to be creating records at the beginning. Maybe they just need to be doing little jobs and finding their way around the farm and not getting lost out the back and whatnot. So there are ways to pull it back. as well if needed. What about you, Mark? Anything different?
No, no, I don't think so. It's just like Hamish said, really that record function, getting them used to sh making a record and showing them some of the other staff members' records, what they're putting in, and as Kate said, finding them on the map themselves on the map, knowing is gold, and where all the maps are for the different blocks, and all the different colours. Of the maps and things. So yeah, no, it's good.
Awesome. Any other questions or anything? Did anything come through, Tessa?
No, no texts, just what went through the chat, so all good.
Easy. If anyone is a bit shy and doesn't want to pop through a message here, feel free through the website. There is an option to contact support, and you can fill out a little form there, and one of us will get back to you. It will be tomorrow at this stage because I'm going to sign off after this one. Maybe Kay might stay on and do some late night support. Right, with that in mind, yeah, just a big massive thank you to everyone. I know the weather is good and it was probably a great evening to be out and doing things. But yeah, thank you for coming on and listening to us.